Hello, good morning, good people, wherever you are. It's Monday, the 6th of January, 2025. And for a lot of you, it's the first day of work this year. I've just finished my morning exercise and I've done 7,619 steps in 63 minutes, and that equals to 7 kilometers done. So I've gone back to my normal rhythm of doing approximately 7 kilometers fast walking every day, and that makes me lose 421 calories. So if I add that to my basal metabolic rate, which requires me to consume approximately 1,600 calories, so that gives me 2,000 calories. So today I can eat very comfortably. Um, 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner of 2,000 calories. That will help me maintain my weight. But because I want to lose weight, I have to eat a maximum of 1,500 calories. Okay, so now I go back to my college days. It's the year 1986, and I have to do a project in microbiology, which I was majoring in. And my institution did not have a microbiology lab. So I did what I used to do best, is to go and borrow things and buy things, petri dishes, glass petri dishes, media from my friends who had microbiology labs, and buy some. My employers were also good enough to be able to chip in here and there. Actually, let me tell you that the first autoclave that I used was a pressure cooker that I bought for domestic use. I took it to my lab in Kisumu, and I set up the first microbiology lab at the Kenya Marine Fisheries Research Institute in 1986. So I finished my project, finished my high national diploma, went back to Kisumu, went back to work in January, and I found a project which had just begun, which was sponsored by the FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, on the utilization of the Nile perch, scientific name Lattes niloticus. So I joined that project, and together with a young lady who had just finished a PhD from Denmark, Lorna Graham, we enhanced the microbiology lab to be able to handle the kind of work that was required by that project. Lorna Graham, incidentally, is the granddaughter of Dr. Christian Graham, who invented the Graham stain. And so, here I am working with somebody from a very famous scientific family uh, from Europe. Lorna Graham taught me the microbiology that defined the rest of my career. She also taught me how to plan my work. So, she would come to we'll meet in the lab in the morning, and she would say, okay, let's have a meeting, let's plan the day. What are we going to do? And she would make me write those things down. So I started keeping a diary in 1987 on what we had planned for the day. So if, for example, we had 9 items to do, 9 tasks to do, and by about 3 o'clock we had completed the work, everybody was free to go home for the day. She taught me that it's not the amount of time that you spend in the lab or in the office, but it's the amount of work that you are able to complete for that day. And before leaving for the day, she would make me write the following day's activities, and then slowly to write up activities for the whole week. And that has remained with me to date, both at my professional and personal life, detailing things to be done, the tasks that I need to do, and then checking them off. Whether it's reading books, whether it's listening to music, whether it's traveling, whatever task it is, I always write them down. You don't believe me? Uh, Come visit me and I'll share with you my diaries from all those years ago. So, anyway, uh, one of the major project tasks that we did was to determine the spoilage rate of this Nile perch. So we would go out fishing, catch the Nile perch using a trawler, and then swab the skin, swab then fillet it and swab the intestine, swab the fillet, swab the gills, and then culture those in petri dishes in culture media. And the next day we count the colony forming units, that is the number of bacteria that are growing from that swab, and then work back to determine the bacteria that were there and also identify them. So bacteria like Shigella putrefaciens, Pseudomonas, and other bacteria found in fresh water. And then we would continue doing that until the fish was completely spoiled. To determine how long the fish took to get spoiled and which bacteria were colonizing the fish, because in the beginning the skin, they would have bacteria, of course, but the flesh would be completely sterile. And so we would determine the bacteria that were invading from the skin into the flesh. And also we would take a piece of the fish and heat it up in a beaker in clean water, and then chew it to determine the taste of the fish and try to link the taste of the fish with the spoilage bacteria. We did that, and we wrote our first scientific paper that I was involved in. I'm going to post that link in the comment section today. So that was the work. It was very exciting. We did that throughout 1987 and I think part of 88 before the project closed down mid to late 1988. It was very exciting times indeed. Going fishing on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So apart from doing the work, we also took the fish home. So we had a good source of protein, even if we were broke and the salary was very little. My salary at that time was, I think, about 1,000, no, about 2,000 shillings per month. Sorry, it was about 3,000 shillings per month, and after tax. And my house rent for a two-bedroom house in Kisumu, Nyawita, was 1,500 shillings. So essentially, I was using 50% of my salary to pay for housing. Electricity and water were pretty affordable during those years, not like today. And there were very, very few power shortages or very few water shortages. We had water throughout, we had electricity throughout. So life wasn't that bad. So what else? So come 1990, we have our two children. We have a boy and we have a girl, and we thought we were living our dream. And this little girl, she falls sick. We are a young couple. We are not acutely aware of how seriously sick she is. So we take her and quickly go to a nursing home which was near there. It was called the Mama Leah Nursing Home in Nyawita, Mama Leah Nursing Home in Nyawita. And they said, this child is too seriously sick. We cannot handle this. You take her to Russia, which was the New Nyanza Provincial Hospital. We hardly had any money. So we went to the road and took Kondelemu walk. Those were the Peugeot 404 taxis. And we went straight to Aga Khan Hospital. We walked in there, and the first person I met was a former colleague of mine, Doris Ojo, who had left Kemfree and went and did a nursing course, and she was a nurse. And she said, "Oh, this child is seriously ill," because in the taxi, her eyes had started rolling, and we could just see the white part of the eyes, and said, "Oh God, she's serious." And we're taking her to the hospital with my wife. We've left another 2-year-old in the house alone. So they try to collect blood from the tip of her finger. They couldn't. From the vein on her arm, they couldn't. So they went for the femoral vein. Her veins had almost collapsed. So she got admitted anyway, and I had to walk back to the house to take care of our firstborn son. Slept in the house. When I went back to hospital at 6 o'clock in the morning, again I walked. I left this child in the house alone. I found the bed empty. And I asked the neighbor, she was a young Somali mother with her child, where are these people? And she said, I don't know. And she was looking behind me. So I turned back and I saw a nurse and said, where's my wife and child? She said, are you the father? I said, yes. She said, come. And she took me to the mortuary. My daughter was dead. I don't know how long I stayed in that mortuary. I don't know how long I carried my baby. But after some time, she tapped me gently on the shoulder. The nurse tapped me gently on the shoulder and she said, Amka Baba. So she picked the child from my arms and put her back in the freezer. And I walked back to the house. Here we are. It's almost month end. I think it was February of 1990. We have a dead child. It's Sunday. Monday, I go to the office to try and get help. I got nothing. So that day, our salary had also come. So I took my salary. I used it to fix an office vehicle so that at least we could remove the body and get it buried on Tuesday, because in our village, the Sondu, the market, we have 3 market days: Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And because agriculture is at the minimum because of high population density, we normally do not bury on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So burial days are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. So we had no reason to keep my daughter after she was dead. So we wanted to bury her on Tuesday. Now I fixed this vehicle. We went and collected the body that Monday. When we reached the house, there was support staff who came to me and told me he has been sent from the office. What have they said? They said they wanted the car. This car which had been grounded, which I used my money to fix. After I fixed it, wakaninyang'anya gari with a dead body in the house. So I went and locked myself in the bedroom and cried. I don't know after how long. One of my near neighbors, he was a landlord. He had a pickup which is using for transport business. He came and knocked on the bedroom door, and I refused to open. And he kept on knocking, and he said, I'm not your relative. I'm not even a friend. Open up this door. So I opened. When I opened, he asked me, what is the problem? I said, there's no problem. So why is the body is still here? And I said, the body is in their house. She's my daughter. She's in their house. And what are the plans? I said, I don't have any plans. People were there screaming and howling at how badly the office had done me. Taking that vehicle away from me, so I don't have a means to transport my dead child 60 kilometers away. I don't have any money. I had bought some timber, some 6-1s that I was going to use, 6-1s and 4-2s that I was going to use to make a bed for my children. It is the same timber that we used to make a coffin for my daughter. So this man walked away, my neighbor walked away and came back with his pickup truck. And he said, put the body here. And I said, I don't have any money to pay you. And he told me, so did I ask you for any money? We put the body there. And he drove us to Nyabondo, to my mother's house. Remember, at that time, I didn't even have a house. I said, I'm sorry, I don't have any money. When we took off, we reached Kondele. He went to the petrol station. And he started fueling the vehicle, and he asked me, how much money you have? I said, I don't have any money. He says, how much money do you have? And I said, I have 20 shillings. He said, give me the 20 shillings. So I gave him. And he fueled the money using his own money. So essentially, he charged me 20 shillings for transporting the body home. When we reached home, my mother gave him a roasted chicken as a sign of gratitude. So anyway, we buried my daughter the next day. And that was the last day that I ever worked at the Kenya Marine Fisheries Research Institute, because I simply refused to go to work after that. I was so despondent. I was so heartbroken. I just stopped going to work. And I would only go back from time to time to collect my electricity and water bills and any other mail. Then one Sunday, I applied for a job as a lab technologist at the Kenya Medical Research Institute. I wrote the letter, I photocopied my certificates, put them in an envelope, and gave them to my wife to post at Kondele Post Office on Monday morning. So, and then Monday morning, I went to work to collect my mail. And immediately I reached the office. A fellow colleague called Kenneth Werimo, thank you so much, Kenneth Werimo, he called me and said, "Hey, Ondo, have you sent today's newspaper?" And I said, "No." So he said, "Kazi ndio hii." It was the Kenya Times newspaper, which used to carry all government advertisements. Sorry, I'm tearing up, but it's okay. Believe me, the job that I had applied for the previous day without knowing was advertised on Monday morning in the Kenya Times newspaper. And I told Kenneth, I applied for this job yesterday and my wife has just sent the letter to the post. So he said, "Did you know that it was being advertised?" I said, "No, I don't know." That is how God works. So after some time, about a month later, again, I go to the office to collect my mail. And the support staff who used to go to the post office, called Francis Otieno, he comes cycling in and says, "Hey, Ondo, kuna barua yako hapa." And it was an invitation for an interview at Cambridge. I didn't have money for transport. There was this friend of mine who was a telephone operator. Sorry, I'm taking so long today. Called Mutisia, who was a blind telephone operator at our office. So I walked to the telephone operator's booth. And, blind people are very super sensitive. And he told me, "Oh, what's wrong?" I said, "Nothing." He said, "No, iko shida." And I kept quiet. After some time, I told him what my problem was. I've been invited for an interview in Nairobi and I don't have any money. And he told me, "I told you something wrong." He says, "Nishike mkono." So I hold his hand and we walk back to his house, which was about 100 meters from the office. Mutisia gave me 2,000 shillings. That money enabled me to travel to Nairobi and book a hotel room and for me to go for the interview, which I did. After I sat for the interview alongside many other people who later on became my colleagues, at the end of the interview, the chairman of the board of directors, Professor Abdallah, asked me, "Do you have anything to say, young man?" And I said, "Yes." And I remember what I said, that seems like you have decided not to give me this job. But if you had employed me, how much would you have paid me? And, they all burst out laughing. And he told me, "Young man, we shall definitely get in touch with you." And I knew I'd got the job. So I went back to Kisumu and I told my wife to start packing. She said, "Packing, where are we going?" I said, "Either we are going to Yabondo or we are going to Nairobi." Keep it here for the rest of the story tomorrow. Bye.